Hey, this is Anthony Gordon, Artist Relations Manager for Avid. We are here again at South by Southwest. We've been talking to a lot of artists, and this is a really cool thing to be speaking to a producer now. This is Thom Monahan from the city of Los Angeles. But Thom, you're known for being a big part of the San Francisco kind of crazy psych sound these days, huh?
I guess so. It just kind of happened. It snuck up. It snuck up on me.
So what are some of the bands from the Bay Area that you've been working with?
Well, I've been working with Vetiver for a really long time. I love Andy Kabik. He's a great guy. And I'm in the middle of doing a new Tussle record, and I just finished Leopold and His Fiction, who are great guys, and that was a lot of fun. It was really, really good. So
how did you get hooked up with doing this is like every notable Bay Area band that's like happening right now?
It was my brother-in-law. He was in a band. He's in a band from Philly called the Capitol Years, and I had moved to New York in 2001, and he said, "Oh, I just played this show in San Francisco with this band Vetiver. You're gonna like lose your mind. I got their demo. Here it is." And he gave it to me, and I played it over and over and over and over and over again. I kept driving around in New York, like losing my mind, and I called Andy up and said, I just love this record. I love this demo. I just wanted to tell you that I thought it was great. And he said, "Oh yeah, well, you worked on some records that I know who, you've done some stuff that I like, and we're gonna maybe do a record. Would you want to come out?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to." And he goes, "Oh yeah, and by the way, I think my girlfriend Alyssa knows you." And it turned out that Andy's girlfriend was from Northampton, Massachusetts. That's where I was from, and I had recorded her friend's band when she was going to Smith. I mean, it's just weird. It's a tiny little world, and if you just kind of do your thing, you sort of just fall into line. Yeah, things kind of happen. Like-minded people find each other. I kind of find in the creative world, right? Yeah, I think people like. I think people like the same kind of melodies. People who like the same kind of melodies find each other. So, as a producer, what value is there for you coming out to South by Southwest? Wow, that's interesting. I have no idea. I'm just here to see bands and hang out with friends and stuff. I'm not really sure. I've just been going and like getting my mind blown, seeing stuff that I really love, and like hanging out with friends of mine who are here. How many times have you been? This is the first time I've ever been here where I wasn't playing or wasn't sort of like kind of. I came down here once. My wife's a journalist, and I was kind of shadowing her, like helping her out. And this is the first time I've ever just been here, kind of doing nothing. My wife's a journalist too, and I was her +1 for like my first 3 South Bys. Then you know exactly what that's like. Yeah. Can you transcribe for me? Yeah. Bands coming here. So you started as a musician. Yeah, totally. I was talking to another band earlier today, Love Like Fire, who are really cool. Mm-hmm. And their drummer is the recording guy in their band. Is that how natural a progression to becoming a record producer is it from being a musician? Do you have to be a musician? Do you feel like it helps? I mean, I can only speak for my own particular experience, basically, but it was really about, like, you're in a band, you don't really have that much money, you have to make a record, and you're a bunch of people in a room trying to make a decision about what to do. And that's, and I was always sort of the kind of recording nerd. I liked recording, and I wanted to, like, bang on things and hear it come back at me, and basically, like, people just kept asking me to come and, can you help with the guitar rigs? And then it was, can you hang out while we're doing the record? And then people start saying, would you actually record the record? Would you, what do you think of these songs going in? And then suddenly it's like, would you produce? Or I just think the roles are very, like, producer, engineer, whatever. It's kind of like bands need somebody to help them get things done, and they need someone to help them have some perspective in order to figure out what it is what they want to do and how to do it. And that's basically all that it is. I'll tell you, when I first started playing in bands, the DAW wasn't ubiquitous, and it wasn't inexpensive. And now it is, and you don't need to go to recording school or own a 2-inch tape deck and be re-biasing, all that kind of stuff to learn the rudimentary basics of recording, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a craft that you got to keep learning constantly, right? Right. But you can start off as just a dude in the band
and learn those skills working with a DAW that you can buy at any music retailer for pretty as much as a guitar, right?
Yeah, or it comes on your laptop when you get it. I mean, it's like, you just have to, I think it's just about getting stoked, making yourself happy and being stoked, and like, you just kind of do it and get into it, and now it's the tools are all there, and people are doing amazing things.
So speaking of the tools.
Nice segue.
Nice seg, yeah. Pro Tools, how long have you been a Pro Tools user?
I actually I started using Pro Tools in 2002, and it was a 001 on a G4 sawtooth that I was living in New York, and I used to haul it around on a little cart and take it into the subway. I had a Mexican blanket I would wrap around my computer, and I would drag it into rehearsal spaces everywhere, and it was incredibly liberating because I always it was always like, oh, if I could just, I didn't always have the luxury of really having a stable tape machine to edit on. So editing sometimes is easy and sometimes is a pain in the ass to razor everything. And so finally being able to edit takes together just on a very simple level of editing takes together was awesome. Yeah.
Liberating to say the least. I mean, it's made me a very happy person.
Yeah.
Like just my connection with being able to make records.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Makes things a lot easier, faster, and it's really, Oh no. Do you want to stop?
Sorry, our camera person just got pooed on by a bird. So this is pretty guerrilla. Wow. There's literally
blessed by a pigeon.
Yeah, I think that might be a segue to wrap it up.
Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to be a record producer, they're in a band, they're not in a band, they love music, but what's the advice you give to somebody getting into this thing?
I wish I knew. I mean, the thing is that like, the thing is that everybody knows what they like in songs, and you kind of have to learn the mechanics of it, I guess.
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah. Kind of. Well, you have to. You need. That's a tough one because everybody. There's always the person who loves music and they don't know how to translate what it is that they love about music into a language that they can kind of communicate to musicians or communicate to engineers and things like that. And it's tough. You have to learn you kind of have to learn the vocabulary. You have to develop a vocabulary with whoever you're working with as a producer, because what you say is treble, it doesn't mean the same thing as treble as someone else. So the first thing is just figure out what language you're speaking with whoever you're working with, and it's always going to be different. It's not a language. It's like it's part of just learning to communicate.
So
that's a nice abstract way to end it.
No, it's abstract, but that's a good advice. I mean, communicating with an artist in the studio, by our very nature, anybody who's going in there, if there's something that's not quite right about their performance and you tell them that can hurt people's feelings, and it can make them feel uncreative, and it might.
Well, hopefully you're working with someone who, there's a level of trust involved, and they have you involved because they like the music that you like, and you share some sort of aesthetic or something like that, But basically, it's like, talking to people just to having a gift of gab is a good thing, I think. Yeah.
Well, that was very interesting conversation. It was a pleasure to meet you. And we will be back with more from South by Southwest 2010.